Okay, so welcome. So my name is Anthony Nevo, and I'm going to present you how basically to start working with network APIs. So what we're going to do today is first see why network APIs matter. Then we'll see what tools you need to start working with network APIs. We'll do some use case testing, so I'll show you how, with some playground, how to play with your data and see your results. And then we'll see how to go and deploy in production. So I suppose you know all about network here. So you know Orange and all our partners. We've got these networks that allow us to do many things: game, payment, online shopping, etc., etc. And with Network API, what we're doing now is we are deploying APIs and trying to give developers and partners more services, more features from our network so that they can use them in their services. But what really, I can give you some example of the APIs that we can use. So device location, for example, where is the device? So obviously you know that you all have a GPS in your device, in your phone, but here we'll be using triangulation with antennas. So I mean, it's much harder to spoof. We've got something called SIM swap as well. So was this SIM recently reissued? It can be used for fraud detection. Quality on demand. With 5G network now, we are able to reserve a network bandwidth specifically for your service. And number verification. What is the phone number of the device? Okay, so network APIs. So we understand well what they are, but we've always had network APIs. I mean, we have things like SMS APIs on the network, on the Orange network. It's very easy to use, for example. But now we are talking about more like we're talking about camera network APIs. So what is Camera? Camera is a project, a Linus Foundation project. Okay, which is the goal of this project is to standardize all the network APIs, so that each telco has the same API for the same service, basically. So all the number verification APIs will have the same interface. Or the SIM swap API will have the same interface, meaning that as a developer, you write your code once, and it should work everywhere. What we do also, because maybe as a developer, as a small developer, you don't want to have contracts with each telco. It can be quite time-consuming. So we are partnering with market enablers, like, for example, Nokia, like Infobip, Twilio, or hyperscalers like AWS, Azure, etc. Because we want all our APIs to be available everywhere, and this aggregator will basically will have one single point of entry, and then will dispatch the API to the correct country, to the correct telco. So it's much easier as well for developers. So that said, what's the developer journey to start using network APIs? So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you how to subscribe to a particular API called the Playground API, which will facilitate your testing of the network API. We'll do our first API call, and then we'll customize the data sets to allow us to test some use cases. And basically this part here is the playground. It's a bit like a sandbox where you can play with the data, play with the API without touching the real network. And then at the end, we'll deploy to production. Okay, that's the plan. So first, let's subscribe. So we've got a developer portal that you all know and love. If you go to developer.orange.com, so I'll just go there. Okay. So this is the latest version. You're very lucky because it's been, it's in production. It's been only a day or a few hours. So this is the latest version. What we have here, so we also have an expanded documentation. So we've completely rewritten the documentation portal where you can find all you need to develop with network APIs. Okay? So the first thing to do if you want to work with network APIs is obviously to log in or register on the Orange Developer Network, on the Orange Developer Portal, sorry. So I've got already an account, so I'll just sign in, but you'll have to create and register with your own account. Then, after that, the first thing to do is to create a new application. So what's an okay. So I've got already a few of them. What the goal of the application is really to be a container to your APIs. If you have several applications, each application will have its own ID, meaning that if you do statistics, for example, you'll know that this application will use this kind of data and this other application will use another kind of data. Okay? So as I showed you, we can create a new application. Just enter the application name, the description, and then choose the famous Network API Playground. And the advantage, one of the advantages of the API Playground is that it's available immediately. Most of our APIs need to be validated, so it can take a bit of time, but the Playground is available now. So what is really the Playground? Like I said before, it's a safe sandbox environment. You can test without risk. There's no impact on the network. You can have some realistic data, also, although it's fake, obviously. You don't have client data. It's an instant access, and you can do unlimited testing, so you can learn the network API at your own pace. Yeah, you can think of it as a laboratory for APIs, for network APIs. So without a Playground, if you're on a production network, obviously you will need SIM cards, which are quite hard to get. Complex approval process, risk of impacting real user, we don't want to do that. And some limited test scenario. If, for example, we talk about geolock, you will need to get a phone and then go around Paris just to do some tests. But if you're using the Playground, obviously it will be much easier. You can test immediately with fake numbers. No waiting. Yeah, you can perfect your integration before production. Basically, the code that you write for Playground will be exactly the same than the one that will be deployed into production. You'll just have to change the endpoints. And you can simulate any scenario, roaming, SIM swap, geolocation, etc. Okay, so let's do our first API calls. So I'm going to set up a demo, live demo. We're going to test the SIM swap API, and the goal of this API is to verify if a SIM has been recently reissued. And we'll be using, so I'll be using Bruno for the live demo, but on the slide you'll see there are some curl requests. Okay, so you'll have both. Okay, yeah. You'll need the authorization header that you can see here. Yeah, that will allow you to get the access token that will then be used for the SIM swap call. But I'll try to explain it. So this is really the same thing, except that yeah, you see it like that in text. So what we're doing is we are calling the token API with our basic, and we get an access token. This is the one you see here. Okay. Once you have the access token, you can call any API on the Playground that you want. So here I'm calling the SIM swap API, SIM swap check, and I pass it, so the access token I just got before, okay? And then some data, so the phone number I want to test, and a max age, which is in hours, so 240 hours, so 10 days. Okay, and I want to see if in the last 10 days a SIM swap occurred. Okay, and here, if I test this this request, I'll get a swap false, meaning that there hasn't been any SIM swap in the last 10 days. Why would we want to do that? So, for example, a particular use case where it's used, it's banking security. Imagine that you've got a scammer that logs into a victim app because maybe it got the password using phishing, a leak or anything, and it asks the telco to reissue a SIM. So it means that now he has the SIM from the victim in his phone, okay? So he can get all the SMS and everything. So he logs into the banking app from the victim and asks to add a new trusted device, his own device. With SIM swap, the bank can ask the telco to verify if there has been a SIM swap recently, and the bank can mark the device as not trusted. So that's one use case where SIM swap is very useful for fraud detection. Okay. Like I said just before, once you've got your access token, you can use any other API. So here I'm using the device location verification, a very interesting API as well. You just set an area with a circle, latitude, longitude for the center, and a radius, and it will tell you if the phone is within this circle. Okay. Here it says that it's true. So it means that the device is near Issy-les-Moulineaux, and it can be very useful for location-based services. Okay, so here we saw a few requests with some pre-configured phone numbers, but what if you want really to create your own use cases, your own scenarios? So yeah, our problem is here we have fixed test data, so limited scenario. We want to use custom data. So we have a solution. We can create our own phone numbers and customize all the responses. And what we're using is something called the Playground Admin API. And it allows you to manage up to 10 phone numbers and then control the location, control the reachability, the SIM swap, or anything for these phone numbers. And you can test some edge cases and specific scenarios. So how to create custom test data? So again, we are going to get an access token with this token API. So this is not the same token API. I won't go into too much detail here, but if you want, we can talk about that later at the API bar. But basically, you get an access token that you can then reuse in a new API, which is called admin action here, okay? And you put here your access token, and then the action, so you put the create action here with the name of the phone number. And what it will do is create a phone number for you with some pre-configured data. So you see all the data that is pre-configured when you create a new phone number, location, reachability, roaming, SIM swap, KYC. And then you can update this data if you need, okay? So for example, if we want to simulate a SIM swap attack, what we can do is we can again use the action API, and instead of doing a create, we do an update, and we update the same phone number with a new value for the date of the SIM swap change, okay? And as if you saw, just maybe you haven't seen before, but here the SIM swap date is on the 15th of October, and now I put the SIM swap date on the 18th of November, so today. And in that case, so there has been a SIM swap that was done today, so it might be a fraud, okay? Yeah, if I check the SIM swap again with the same phone number, in the last 24 hours, I know that there has been a SIM swap that was done, which means that maybe we should raise a security alert. Okay, so this is a kind of use case that you can develop with the Playground and the admin Playground. Once you're ready to go into production, so like we said, so I'm not going to talk about that again, but basically the Playground allows you to do a lot of things. But the production, obviously, you'll have real users, live network data, and you'll have some SLA. So today, the SLA is about 5 hours of downtime per year. So yeah, it's interesting to know. But this is the same API, you have the same code, you just have to change the endpoint and your code should work as well. So how to do that? You just go back to Orange Developer, but instead of adding the Playground API, you add basically the API that you want to use. So here, SIM swap. You have to enter a few information, more information, because obviously now you're on a live network. You're using some real client data, so we need to know why you want to do that. So we ask you to describe the purpose of using the API and then confirm that you'll be using that for detection and fraud prevention. So you validate that you agree with the terms and conditions, and then when you hit subscribe, you'll receive a form in your mailbox that you'll have to then fill and wait for the validation to be completed. Okay, so what we've learned today, how to subscribe to network APIs, to the Playground and production. So we've made some real API calls, SIM swap, device location. We created some custom test scenarios using the admin API. And we show how to go through the production deployment. So what do you need now if you want to start? You've got the developer.orange.com website. You've got all the documentation I showed you before. Don't hesitate to ask us if you need help. We're here to help. We are here to help. Sorry, if you want to go to production. So don't hesitate. We are here on the API bar during the 3 days. So yeah, come see us. Questions? Thank you.